Hello everyone, George here, Catholic Positive Energy. Happy Halloween. Figured, obviously you know what day it is when you see me holding this. This is the first time that I can remember in 2.5 years of having this community that I had a broadcast on Halloween, on the day of Halloween. But one of the reasons I'm broadcasting today is because I've had some technical difficulties with my iPad in recent weeks, so I wasn't able to do a live broadcast this past week, and that's why if you follow me on the YouTube channel, I posted the previous week's broadcast a little later than I normally would have, but I've just been so darn busy with school. But I actually have a little bit of free time on my hands right now. That's why, I'm going to something later tonight at church, a Halloween party at the St. Andrew Newman Center. That's why I'm dressed up as a priest right now. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. I'm not going into the seminary, but yeah, I just thought this would be appropriate. I see I've got a friend on the Facebook channel watching, Guy Joseph Raby. Hey, Guy, happy Halloween to you, too. I hope you have a lot of fun tonight and stay out of trouble. I know you will. I'm just kidding. But, I definitely hope everybody stays safe tonight on Halloween. Things happen. Just be careful. But what I want to talk about today, now obviously the title of today's broadcast is Happy Halloween. But what I mean by that is I want to talk about what Halloween means to me, what it has always meant for me. Now, I haven't done full extensive research. I hear a lot of people say, well, Halloween is a pagan holiday. Well, okay, look, I'm not here to talk about that. That's not what I'm here to talk about. Now, I know that you can celebrate Halloween. It's perfectly fine. Just, obviously, I know it's highly recommended that you don't dress up as, psychotic killers or, horror icons. But like I say, I'm certainly not. But this is what Halloween has always meant for me. And I have positive things here. Like I say, I'm definitely not going to talk about the negative things. I'm always going to talk about the positive things here. So here, you can listen up. Throughout my life, growing up as a kid, growing up in Murrieta, California, just down the road from where I live now, I was always looking forward to Halloween. And I remember, when I was in school as a kid, I would always talk with my classmates, and we would always ask each other, oh, what are you dressing up as for Halloween? You're going, everybody went trick-or-treating pretty much. What are you going as Halloween? And we would always tell each other, what costumes we had in mind. I remember, I think I always had a different costume every year. My family and I, we would never rent Halloween costumes. We would just buy one every year. If you like this one, you like that one. You go dressed up as Batman, or you go dressed up. I remember, there were at least 2 occasions when I was a little kid. I went dressed up as Batman, or I went as the Blue Power Ranger. One year I didn't even wear a costume. There have been times I went dressed up as this. I've had this costume for like 12 years. Obviously, I can't remember every single costume I ever had. I think one year I dressed up as a ghost. Here was also something. See, when I was a little kid, I was afraid to watch that movie, Nightmare on Elm Street. And as I got older, I've seen it now. Don't particularly like it. I like the remake from 2010, but not the original. And when I was a little kid, I was afraid whenever I saw Freddy Krueger's costume, because his face, that hat, that sweater, those claws, it just gave me the creeps as a kid, And I didn't even want to wear that costume. I was afraid to. But like I say, when you're a kid, you have different feelings as opposed to when you're an adult. So what Halloween has always meant for me is, if you're a little kid, trick-or-treating, having fun, getting candy, hanging out with friends. I always went trick-or-treating with my friends as a kid. What else? There have been times I went to like Halloween parties or went through a Halloween maze or a haunted house, things like that. But for me, Halloween is always about having fun. Now, it's not one of those holidays like Thanksgiving or Christmas where the whole purpose is to, like you gather around a fire, you have a nice, wonderful dinner with family and loved ones, you visit family, you have a good time. Halloween is kind of like that, but it's not completely centered around that. It's mainly about candy, scaring people, having a different kind of fun than you would on Thanksgiving and Christmas. But yeah, scaring people, having fun, watching horror movies or Halloween-themed movies, things like that. These are the things that Halloween has always meant for me. And in a way, it still does. I will admit, because I'm so busy with grad school and having 2 jobs, nowadays, because I'm so busy, I don't have time to, put a bunch of Halloween decorations up by the front door or, I'm trying to be on a little bit of a diet, so I'm not really eating candy that much. Not as much as when I was younger. So I still have fun to an extent. I recently saw that movie Halloween Ends. Now, since this broadcast is about Halloween, I'll talk a little bit about Halloween stuff, but like I say, I'm not going to go too long on horror movies here. I will say this. I am a fan of the Halloween movies. I only like the one from the original 1978 and these 3 movies that David Gordon Green and Jamie Lee Curtis have made. The 3rd one's out now. I like this current timeline. I don't really care about the other Halloween movies in between. Although the original, I should say, I don't know how I should say this. The sequel from 1981 to from 1978, that is not a part of this timeline. Although I do like that movie too. But everything else between 1981 and 2018, I'm not a fan of those. But the current timeline I like. I will say this, Halloween Ends, if you like horror movies or if you definitely want to watch a nice Halloween movie on Halloween, Halloween Ends is the movie for you. It's the best horror movie I've ever seen. It didn't scare me or anything, but I definitely like the way they ended that timeline, and the fact that they gave it a happy ending and brought, peace in the community is something I liked. I hope I didn't give away the ending before you saw it. Anyways, those things normally don't bother me. I didn't tell you what the ending was. I kind of alluded to it, but I didn't flat out tell you. So, yeah, sorry if I disappointed you. Just sarcastic humor. But like I say, I'm also curious to know what kind of things do you all like to do on Halloween? For those of you who may or may not have kids, obviously if you have kids, you take them trick-or-treating. If you don't have kids, I don't know how single people would celebrate, but I'm sure everybody has their own way, whether it's going to a Halloween party or some kind of haunted maze or something somewhere fun nearby. I know Universal Studios has Halloween Horror Nights. That's a lot of fun. I went to that back in 2012. Oh, that was so much fun. It was awesome. And, but yeah, it was very interesting. But like I say, I've never looked at Halloween as a pagan holiday, and I still don't. I understand why some people do, and look, everybody is free to have their own opinion. Opinions are like noses. Everybody has one, and that's totally fine. I totally respect that. I just don't like it when people try to, drag me down, and they say, well, you're a Catholic. Why are you celebrating Halloween? You don't do that. I don't like people who do that, who drag other people down. I would just look at it this way. You see somebody doing something, and you may or may not like it, or you may or may not agree with it. Okay, but don't drag them down. Don't drag them down for having different beliefs, opinions, or values than you. I mean, I can understand if you're talking to someone you love and you think that they're doing something wrong or irresponsible and you want to let them know. There's a right way to do that and a wrong way to do that. And coming down on them, yelling at them, arguing with them, dragging them down, making them feel torn apart, certainly not an effective way. Trust me, I've been on the receiving end of a lot of that. And, there are a lot of people I don't want to talk to hardly very much anymore because of that. So just, like I say, methods, perception, those things matter. The way you talk to people and the way you make people feel matter. Hopefully they're not somebody who's overly sensitive and will be upset no matter what you say. But I'm certainly not that way. But like I say, whether it is, whether you're going trick-or-treating or you're taking your kids or grandkids trick-or-treating or you're going to watch a horror movie or going to a Halloween party or some kind of haunted maze or some theme park where they have a fun Halloween theme, those are all really fun ways to celebrate Halloween, And I don't see anything wrong with any of that. I really don't. All these things I've mentioned, as long as you're not playing with, I'll just briefly mention this, as long as you're not, playing with any kind of voodoo magic or witchcraft or anything demonic, I don't see anything wrong with celebrating Halloween. Now, if you do those things that I just mentioned, not good. But anyways, Halloween can be a good thing, and it can bring about some positive energy. Like I say, trick-or-treating is fun for, all of you who, whether you're all grown up or you're much older than I am, and maybe you have kids who are grown or grandkids. You know what I'm talking about because, everybody's been trick-or-treating as a kid. So you know how fun that can be. And here's some more fun memories I want to share. I remember one year I went trick-or-treating in my old neighborhood where I grew up, and I saw, how some people are really good at pumpkin carving? Now, me, I'm not a skilled pumpkin carver. Maybe I can be if I spend a lot of time doing that. But some people are really good. I remember I once saw, when I was trick-or-treating in my old neighborhood in Murrieta, they had this huge pumpkin. I think it's the biggest one I've ever seen. And the way they carved it, they made it look exactly like the Death Star from the movie Star Wars. Pretty much exactly the same. And I thought, wow, did they buy this somewhere? And no, I was passing by somebody's house, and they had this huge fancy display of all these pumpkins that they've carved, different kind of things, and one of them looked like the Death Star. And they told me that they did that all by themselves. Now, they could have been lying to me. No, I'm kidding. But that's what they told me. Now, me, I'm not that skilled. Can anybody here carve a pumpkin and make it look like something that you wouldn't normally see? Most people would probably, obviously, I didn't carve this pumpkin. I bought this at the store. See, it has the extension cord in the back. Now, most people would probably carve a pumpkin to look like this or something similar to this. But some people do some fancy things, like the Death Star from Star Wars, or some kind of fancy design of some famous person, things like that. Here's something else I want to mention regarding Halloween. Like I've said a long time ago, a year or so ago, I'm a big fan of that sitcom Home Improvement. Tim Allen is by far my favorite comedian. And I'll never forget this Halloween episode. I think this was from the second season, not the first. Second. And was it the second? Yeah, I think it was. And it was this episode where they had a Halloween party for their kids on Halloween night in their house. And they had some kind of in their basement, they had some kind of catacombs of terror, spooky haunted house for the kids. And I remember that episode did talk a lot about, they showed some fancy, designs for pumpkin carving. Now, if you watch the show, if you watch the episode I'm talking about, season 2, I don't remember the episode, but it was the Halloween episode. That's all I remember. And at the beginning of the episode, Tim, the Toolman Taylor, his assistant Al, showed a jack-o'-lantern that he carved. Now, obviously, I know he didn't really carve it, but he made it look like Bob Vila's face. And it looked really, really cool, really fancy. And I remember in that same episode, Tim Taylor, his neighbor Wilson, carved a jack-o'-lantern. Now, his character, Wilson, you see his face is always behind the fence. You never see his face. He's always behind something like this, and you don't always see his face. And he carved a jack-o'-lantern of him. You see his face behind a fence. And then as soon as he turned it on and lit it up and the audience could see it, you could hear a loud applause because it looked really fancy. So, do we have any fancy artistes in the carving jack-o'-lantern, carving pumpkin department here? I'm just curious. Obviously, like I said, that's not my forte. I'm not good at that. Maybe one day I will be. I don't know. We'll see. But, yeah, these are ways that people have a lot of fun and have some good memories on Halloween. Some of my best memories, I remember as a kid, I would always have fun trick-or-treating as a kid. And my friends and I would always want to try to go to as many houses as we can to get as much candy as we can. And we always got a lot of good stuff. We never got anything that made us sick or made us choke or anything like that. Nothing like that. And I remember that when I was a kid, I had a lot of energy. We would always run to every single house. And I remember I actually got a little sweaty after, all that running. Because we tried to visit as many houses as possible. Because there were a lot of houses in our neighborhood. And they're still there now. They haven't been demolished. But that's what we always tried to do. Because we knew that our parents wouldn't let us stay out all night. We would have to eventually go home and not stay out too late. Because normally we would have to get up the next day and go to school. So that was always something we did. Or I know I'd been to some Halloween parties as a kid. I think like at relatives' houses, things like that. Always a lot of fun. Totally. Always had a lot of fun. These are some of my fondest memories. But please let me know what your fond memories are of Halloween. But like I say, Halloween can be a good source of positive energy depending on how you celebrate it. It may or may not be with loved ones, but you can have fun. Like I say, if you've been watching this broadcast from the moment I started until now, I went over a lot of things, and these are all good things, And depending on what you dress up as, you could dress up as a priest, a nun, maybe even a deacon or a monk. I remember one time I went to some theme park, and I dressed up like this. I didn't have this rosary on. And there was somebody who asked me, "Are you a Mormon?" I'm not bad-mouthing Mormons, but I just thought, normally if you see somebody dressed up like this, you'll probably think priest. But no, this person actually thought something totally different. But this person was very young, and they obviously don't know their religions. But I don't look down on them for that. I was just surprised that somebody asked me that, because I wasn't expecting that. That's why I was chuckling. So Halloween can be a good source of positive energy, depending how you look at it, depending how you celebrate it. Try not to look at this as a pagan holiday. If that's how you feel, then go right ahead. But just don't drag other people down. I certainly don't. But I certainly hope that you've enjoyed this broadcast and enjoyed listening to me rant on and on. Like I say, I hope you all have a happy Halloween. Enjoy your night, however it is you celebrate. And feel free to let me know what your fondest memories are on Halloween, or if you have a favorite Halloween that you'll never forget. Always focus on the fond memories, the positive energy. That's what I always encourage here. So, next week we'll have our meditation and prayer broadcast, and hopefully now the technical issues are done. I'm doing different things with how I record now so I don't get cut off or interrupted. And, just please pray for me. So, until then, happy Halloween, God bless, and please remember, dignification is better than criticism.